At the end of this week, I'll be doing a Christmas July for a client of mine. I'm going to be doing a butter chicken terrine as the main course and a Thai soup for the entree, but I decided for the dessert, I'm going to do a traditional Sago plum pudding. Now, this is a pudding we've been having in our family for as long as I can remember. I've never actually made it myself though, so I think it's time to get in an expert. Today I've got my mother who's going to come and teach me how to make a Sago plum pudding. Now Mum, how long do you reckon you've been making this?
A long time, possibly 40 years,
I think it's longer than that because I'm 50 something and I can't remember a Christmas we didn't have this. Now you printed out this recipe. I don't think all of it's completely correct. We've also seen you're maybe a little bit lax in your measuring, but I'm just going to watch to make sure you do it correct.
And I think we'll change the procedure too.
Okay, good. We're going to change the procedure. Now, one thing we're going to use in this is Sago. Now, Sago is something that we don't use a lot. It's actually from a palm. I think it's an Asian palm, and it's a real starchy little thing. It's like little bits of sort of round rice. So we're going to be using that, and that's actually what's going to thicken the pudding. Shall we get started?
Yes, good.
Now the recipe says 4 tablespoons of sago and 1.5 cups of milk. So we're just chucking it all in there?
Yes, and I just will tell you that when I first started making this, I soaked the sago in the fridge overnight. But it's much better done with this. It makes it a little more moist.
And you can also do it in the microwave, can't you? Just heat it in the microwave and just keep mixing it through.
Very time consuming to do it in the microwave.
Yes. Righto, let's go. 4 tablespoons of sago. And this is really what's going to thicken it up, isn't it?
Yes, it binds it all together.
Right, and to that we add 1.5 cups of milk. And then we're going to put it on the stove and heat it gently, I would say, for...
Yes, you gradually raise the heat.
How long do you think? 10, 15 minutes? Let's just wait and see.
But you must stir it all the time.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's go. So we've let this cool for a little while now. And as you can see, they've all puffed up, haven't they?
Yes.
And gone a little bit translucent. So I think we're ready now to add the other ingredients. So we've got 25 grams of butter. Stir that in.
Yes.
Room temperature butter, I think, is probably easier, isn't it? And then we've got how much sugar?
90 grams.
90 grams of white sugar. I suppose you could use brown sugar too, couldn't you? Or raw sugar. Throw that in.
Except that you do want it to melt.
Yep. And then the last thing, just to give it a little bit more rise, I suppose, because it's a very heavy cake, is 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda. Right, so then we've got a nice, rich, gooey custard.
Yes, and you could put a bit of vanilla in. I don't know whether it'll... I normally do it.
Well, I don't have any, so we won't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that sago took about 5 minutes in the saucepan. It's gone nice and creamy, and you want it to not really have any bite left, do you? Like rice, you don't want that little bit.
It needs to look translucent when you see it. The fact that we're leaving it on the stove without an element on is probably going to help it.
Yeah.
And I would probably leave it while I'm doing all this and perhaps...
Just sit there waiting. Now, your recipe says 6 to 8 ounces of sultanas. Of course, we live in the 21st century now, Mum, and so that's grams, so that's about 250 grams of sultanas.
Yes, you're lucky I can do both measurements, aren't you?
You're so clever, yes. Okay, so 250 grams of sultanas. Let's chuck them in first.
Now, I will admit, when I do this, I put whatever dried fruit I have, and if I've got dried figs, I'll put those in. I'll put dates in.
Yep.
Even lemon peel.
Lemon peel or orange peel would be nice.
Yes,
still,
yes,
I think,
any of those. And here's...
So there's some breadcrumbs. That's, how much is that? That is 3 ounces. What's that?
90 grams.
90 grams.
Near enough.
Yes. And then we've got about 60 grams of currants, apricots cut up, and glacé cherries cut up.
I'm interested to see, he's left the apricots quite large, the pieces. I would have probably cut them smaller,
Oh, so
but
fussy.
I'm sure that it will be just as nice.
It'll probably be better. So the cherries.
Glacé cherries, yes. I think we need something.
Let's just do it with our fingers. There we go. So that's all our dry ingredients organised. Right, let's just give them a mix.
Make sure the cherries aren't all sticking together.
We're all mixed together. So, Mum, we need to grease this. Just a little bit of butter in the bottom.
And a bit round the side.
Now we've got a little bit of parchment here, which we're going to put in the bottom, and that will stop it from sticking, and we'll be able to get the pudding out really easily. explained. The deal was we can film it for our YouTube channel.